So imagine this for a second, a future where your electricity bill is zero. Yep, not just lower, but completely gone. That's the huge promise at the heart of a pretty ambitious proposal to totally rewire Australia, something called the National Energy Network, or NEN. And let me tell you, this plan is about way more than just building a few new power plants. This right here is the headline grabber, and it's an absolute showstopper. We're not talking cheaper power or even subsidized power. We're talking about a baseline of completely free electricity for every single household. It's one of those statements that just makes you stop and ask, wait, is that even possible?
And that's the big question, isn't it? Is this whole thing just some political fantasy, or is there a real, detailed plan behind that incredible promise? Well, let's dive in and take a look at the mechanics of how this is all supposed to work.
Okay, so the entire plan is built on this really revolutionary idea. Instead of having a few massive centralized power stations, what if we created one giant, distributed one, using the rooftops of ordinary Australian homes?
And when I say giant, I mean it. We're talking about a colossal scale here. The proposal is aiming to connect pretty much every suitable house, apartment, you name it, across the entire country, over 11 million of them, into one single coordinated network. So how does it actually work? Well, it really boils down to a three-step process. Step 1, roll out and install solar panels on millions and millions of rooftops. Step 2, take all that excess energy that's generated during the day and store it in local community-level batteries. And then step 3, and this is the really cool part, you use a powerful AI as the system's brain to manage the whole thing, predicting demand, controlling storage, and shifting power around so the entire system works like one giant smart power station. Now, the key piece of equipment that makes this whole local storage thing possible is what they call the NEN node. So instead of these massive remote battery farms, the plan is to put these shipping container-sized batteries right there in the suburbs, storing power right where people actually need it. And here is the truly remarkable outcome of all this. After providing free power to every single household, the system is projected to generate a massive annual surplus, almost 40 terawatt hours. That's a huge amount of clean energy just left over, ready to power industry, transport, and really kickstart a whole new manufacturing boom.
But this plan isn't just about generating energy. It's also about building the actual technology that makes it all possible, and doing it right here in Australia. This is really the industrial heart of the whole proposal. So instead of building one single giant and kind of risky megafactory, the strategy uses what it calls a virtual gigafactory. Think of it like a team of smaller, specialized factories. Some might make the battery cells, others assemble the final packs, and they'd often do it by repurposing old industrial sites, like former car plants.
And doing it this way has some pretty big advantages. It's a lot faster to get going, it's less risky from a financial standpoint, and it's way more resilient. If one factory has an issue, it doesn't take down the entire national supply chain. Plus, you get to spread all those jobs and all that investment across the country.
Now, this isn't some overnight project. It's a long-term vision with a very clear multi-decade roadmap. The first phase is all about building up the capacity for Australia's own needs. Then phase 2 is about dominating the home market and starting to export. And the final phase? That's about scaling up to become a major global player in battery tech. And the scaling they're projecting here is just incredibly ambitious. The plan calls for 40 gigawatt hours of annual production by 2032, and then tripling that to 120 by the middle of the century. And that growth is expected to be driven almost entirely by global export demand. Of course, all of this leads to the biggest question of all. A project this huge has to cost an absolute fortune. So, how on earth is it supposed to be paid for? The total price tag is estimated to be around $93.5 billion. Yeah, that is a huge number, there's no question about it, but the way they propose to fund it is just as radical as the project itself. The funding plan is basically a direct wealth transfer from the old energy economy to the new one. It proposes taking every single dollar the federal government currently gives in fossil fuel subsidies and redirecting all of it into a dedicated trust fund. A fund with one purpose and one purpose only: building the national energy network. And according to the plan's own numbers, the money from those redirected subsidies coming in each year would actually be more than the project's capital costs going out. This means the trust fund is designed to be cash positive from the very first year.
And this isn't meant to be a permanent government project either. The public funding is really designed to be an incubator, a launch pad. The goal is for the manufacturing side of things to become totally self-sufficient through commercial and export sales by 2038.
So let's pull it all together. What's the ultimate vision here? Because this goes way beyond just keeping the lights on. It's really a blueprint for a totally different kind of national economy.
The grand vision, well, it really rests on a few key pillars. First, achieve true energy independence. Second, power a new made-in-Australian manufacturing boom. Third, get rid of household power bills for good. And finally, build a smarter, tougher grid while making sure there's a just transition for workers moving from the old energy sector into the new one. Ultimately, what this policy does is present a very clear choice. We can either stick with the grid we have now, which is often fragile, expensive, and really dependent on global supply chains, or we can build towards what's being proposed with the NEN, a resilient, intelligent grid that's powered by our own sovereign Australian industry. Which leaves us with the final question. Is this a realistic blueprint for transforming Australia into a genuine green energy superpower? Or is it a grand national project where the financial, the logistical, and maybe even the political hurdles are just too high to overcome? That's the huge debate that a proposal like this forces us all to have.